They say success comes at a price. I just never imagined the bill would be my life. My name is Andy, and until recently, I thought I had it all, shimmering with possibilities. I was 35, working as a senior marketing analyst at Sterling Cooper Tech, a mid-sized tech firm making waves in the cloud computing sector. I wasn't rich, but Emily and I were comfortable. We owned a cozy two-bedroom house in the suburbs, drove practical but reliable cars, and were finally starting to think about having kids. My career was the primary focus then. I'd poured my heart and soul into Sterling Cooper Tech for the past 7 years, climbing the ladder rung by rung. I was a dedicated employee, always willing to go the extra mile, burning the midnight oil on countless projects. My efforts hadn't gone unnoticed. Richard, my boss and the VP of marketing, had always been supportive, a mentor even. He saw potential in me, and I genuinely respected him. He was charismatic, driven, and always impeccably dressed. He was the kind of guy you wanted to emulate, both professionally and personally. Then came the day. Richard called me into his office, a spacious corner suite overlooking the city. My heart pounded with a mix of excitement and trepidation. I knew this could be it. The moment I'd been working towards for years, the promotion to marketing director, the culmination of all those late nights, all the sacrifices, all the unwavering dedication. "Andy, have a seat," Richard said, his voice warm and inviting. He gestured towards the plush leather chair opposite his imposing mahogany desk. I sat down, trying to maintain a semblance of composure, but my hands were clammy. He smiled, a genuine smile that reached his eyes. "I've been incredibly impressed with your work, Andy. Your dedication, your analytical skills, your ability to think outside the box. It's all been truly remarkable." My heart soared. I knew what was coming, but hearing it articulated so clearly, so sincerely, made it all the more real. "So, after careful consideration," Richard continued, leaning back in his chair, "I'm pleased to offer you the position of marketing director." The words hung in the air, shimmering like gold dust. I couldn't believe it. Years of hard work finally paying off. "Richard, I don't know what to say," I stammered, overwhelmed with emotion. This is incredible. Thank you. Thank you for believing in me." He chuckled. "You earned it, Andy. You absolutely earned it. I have no doubt you'll excel in this role." We shook hands, a firm, congratulatory handshake that sealed the deal. I practically floated out of his office, a sense of euphoria washing over me. I couldn't wait to tell Emily. She'd been my rock, my constant source of support through all the long hours and stressful deadlines. She'd always believed in me, even when I doubted myself. I rushed home that evening, bursting with excitement. Emily was in the kitchen, preparing dinner, her hair pulled back in a ponytail, her face flushed from the heat of the stove. She looked up as I walked in, her eyes lighting up with a warm smile. "Hey, honey, how was work?" she asked, her voice soft and melodic. I couldn't contain myself. I scooped her up in my arms, twirling her around the kitchen. "I got it, Em. I got the promotion. I'm the new marketing director," I exclaimed, my voice filled with elation. Her smile widened, her eyes sparkling with joy. "Oh, Andy, that's amazing. I'm so proud of you. I knew you could do it." We embraced, a long, heartfelt hug that spoke volumes. We celebrated that night, ordering takeout, opening a bottle of champagne, and dreaming about our future. The future looked bright, filled with endless possibilities. I was on top of the world. Little did I know, my world was about to come crashing down around me. The first few weeks in my new role were a whirlwind. I was thrown into a sea of meetings, presentations, and strategic planning sessions. I was determined to prove myself, to show Richard that he'd made the right decision. I worked even harder than before, often staying late into the night, poring over data, analyzing market trends, and developing innovative marketing campaigns. Emily was understanding, supportive as always, but I could sense a growing distance between us. She was working longer hours too, at the local library where she was a librarian, which was fine with me. I understood and respected that. We were both so focused on our careers that we were neglecting our relationship. Then the whispers started. At first, they were just subtle hints, casual remarks dropped in the break room, knowing glances exchanged in the hallway. I didn't pay much attention to them, dismissing them as office gossip, petty jealousies fueled by my sudden rise to power. But the whispers grew louder, more persistent, more pointed. Have you noticed how close Richard and Emily have been lately? They've been spending a lot of time together, haven't they? I saw them having lunch together the other day. They seemed awfully friendly. The whispers chipped away at my confidence, planting seeds of doubt in my mind. I tried to ignore them, to rationalize them away, but the nagging feeling persisted. Something wasn't right. I started paying closer attention to Richard and Emily's interactions. I noticed the way they looked at each other, the lingering touches, the private jokes that seemed to exclude everyone else. One evening, I came home early from work, eager to surprise Emily with a romantic dinner. I unlocked the front door, stepped inside, and heard voices. Muffled voices coming from our bedroom. I froze, my heart pounding in my chest. I cautiously approached the bedroom door, my hand trembling as I reached for the knob. I pushed the door open, and what I saw shattered my world into a million pieces. Emily and Richard. In our bed, naked, embracing, lost in a passionate kiss. The air in the room thickened, heavy with betrayal and shame. My mind went blank, my body numb. I couldn't speak, couldn't move, couldn't even breathe. I just stood there, frozen in the doorway, watching the scene unfold before me like a grotesque nightmare. They didn't notice me at first, too caught up in their illicit embrace. But then Emily opened her eyes, saw me standing there, and her face drained of all color. Richard followed her gaze, his expression shifting from lust to horror in an instant. "Andy," Emily whispered, her voice barely audible. Richard scrambled to cover himself, his face contorted with shame and guilt. "Andy, I can explain," he stammered, his voice trembling. But there was nothing to explain. The scene spoke for itself. The betrayal was undeniable, the pain excruciating. I felt like someone had ripped my heart out of my chest and stomped on it. Without saying a word, I turned and fled. I ran out of the house, out of my life, leaving everything behind. I didn't know where I was going, didn't care. I just needed to escape, to get away from the unbearable pain. I ended up at a dive bar on the other side of town, a dark, dingy place filled with the ghosts of broken dreams. I sat at the bar, ordered a whiskey, and started to drink, and drink, and drink. I drank until the world started to blur, until the pain started to fade, until I couldn't feel anything anymore. I spent the next few days in a haze of alcohol and despair. I didn't go to work, didn't answer my phone, didn't talk to anyone. I just wandered aimlessly through the city, a ghost in my own life. I replayed the scene in my head over and over again, each time feeling the pain anew. How could they do this to me? How could Emily, the woman I loved, the woman I trusted, betray me in such a horrific way? And Richard, my mentor, my boss, the man I respected, how could he stoop so low? The questions swirled in my mind, unanswered, unanswerable. I felt lost, alone, and utterly broken. The promotion, the career, the future I had dreamed of, it all seemed meaningless now. What was the point of success if it came at the cost of my happiness, my trust, my very soul? After 3 days of wallowing in self-pity, I finally decided to face reality. I knew I couldn't continue down this path of self-destruction. I needed to do something, to take control of my life, to reclaim my dignity. I went back to the house, packed a suitcase, and left a note for Emily. It was a short, simple note, devoid of emotion. It simply stated that I was leaving and that I wanted a divorce. I moved into a small, sparsely furnished apartment in the city, a far cry from the cozy suburban house I had shared with Emily. I started going to work again, though it was a struggle to face Richard every day. He tried to talk to me, to apologize, but I refused to listen. I couldn't bear to look at him, to hear his lies, to see the guilt in his eyes. I requested a transfer to a different department. Anything to get away from him. My request was granted, though I knew my career at Sterling Cooper Tech was effectively over. The promotion had become a curse, a constant reminder of the betrayal and the pain. The divorce was messy and acrimonious. Emily tried to reconcile, to explain her actions, but I couldn't forgive her. The trust was gone, shattered beyond repair. I couldn't understand how she could betray me with Richard, the man I trusted, respected, and even looked up to. She claimed it was a mistake, a moment of weakness, but I couldn't bring myself to believe her. The image of them together, in our bed, was seared into my memory, a constant reminder of her infidelity. Eventually, the divorce was finalized. I lost half of everything we owned, but I didn't care. Material possessions meant nothing to me anymore. I just wanted to be free, to start over, to rebuild my life from the ashes. I left Sterling Cooper Tech shortly after the divorce, unable to bear the constant reminders of Emily and Richard. I took a job at a smaller, less prestigious company, working as a marketing consultant. The pay was less, the work less challenging, but I found a sense of peace in the anonymity. I was no longer the ambitious, driven executive, but just another cog in the machine. Years passed. I dated a few women, but never allowed myself to get too close. The fear of betrayal was always lurking in the back of my mind, a constant reminder of the pain I had endured. I built walls around my heart, protecting myself from further hurt. I became guarded, cynical, and emotionally distant. I often wondered about Emily and Richard. Were they still together? Were they happy? Did they ever think about me, about the life they had destroyed? I tried not to dwell on it, but the questions lingered, unanswered, like a persistent ache in my soul. One day, I received a letter in the mail. It was from Emily. My hands trembled as I opened it, my heart pounding in my chest. It had been years since we had last spoken. The letter was long and heartfelt. Emily wrote about her regrets, her remorse, her unwavering love for me. She explained that her affair with Richard had been a mistake, a moment of weakness fueled by loneliness and insecurity. She claimed that she had never stopped loving me, and that she had always regretted her actions. She wrote that she and Richard had broken up shortly after I left, unable to live with the guilt and the shame. She had moved away, started a new life, and was now working as a teacher in a small rural town. She had never married again, never found anyone who could replace me. The letter ended with a plea for forgiveness. Emily asked if there was any chance that we could reconcile, that we could rebuild our life together. She knew it was a long shot, but she had to try. She couldn't live with the guilt any longer. Amy, I made sicksy, sat there, staring at the letter, tears streaming down my face. It was the first time I had cried in years. The pain, the anger, the resentment. It all came flooding back, washing over me like a tidal wave. But beneath the pain, I felt a glimmer of something else, a flicker of hope. Could I forgive Emily? Could I rebuild our life together? Could I ever trust her again? The questions swirled in my mind, unanswered, unanswerable. I didn't know what to do. Part of me wanted to reject her, to punish her for the pain she had caused me. But another part of me longed for her, for the love we had once shared. I missed her laughter, her touch, her unwavering support. I missed the life we had built together. I spent weeks agonizing over the letter, weighing the pros and cons, trying to decide what to do. I talked to my therapist, my friends, my family. Everyone had a different opinion. Some urged me to forgive her, to give her a second chance. Others warned me against it, reminding me of the pain she had caused. Ultimately, the decision was mine, and mine alone. Finally, I made my choice. I wrote a letter back to Emily. It was a difficult letter to write, filled with both pain and hope. I told her that I had read her letter with an open mind and an open heart. I acknowledged her remorse and her regret. I admitted that I had missed her, that I had often thought about her, that I had never stopped loving her. But I also told her that the pain was still there, that the trust was still broken, that the scars were still fresh. I told her that I wasn't sure if I could ever forgive her completely, but that I was willing to try. I was willing to meet her, to talk to her, to see if there was any chance of rebuilding our life together. But I also made it clear that it wouldn't be easy, that it would take time, patience, and a lot of hard work. I sent the letter, and then I waited. The waiting was agonizing, filled with anxiety and anticipation. I didn't know what to expect. Would she accept my offer? Would she be willing to put in the work? Would we be able to overcome the past? Weeks later, I received a response. Emily wrote that she was overjoyed to hear from me. She was grateful for my willingness to give her a second chance. She was ready to do whatever it took to rebuild our life together. We arranged to meet in a neutral location, a small cafe in a town halfway between where we both lived. The meeting was awkward and emotional. We talked for hours, rehashing the past, confronting the pain, and sharing our hopes for the future. It was a long and difficult conversation, but it was also cathartic and healing. We decided to take things slowly, to start as friends, to rebuild our trust one brick at a time. We spent time together, talking, laughing, and rediscovering the connection we had once shared. It wasn't easy. There were setbacks, arguments, and moments of doubt. But we persevered, driven by our love for each other and our desire to heal the wounds of the past. Over time, the trust began to return, slowly but surely. The scars faded, though they never completely disappeared. We learned to forgive each other, to accept each other's imperfections, and to move forward together. Eventually, we remarried. It was a small, intimate ceremony, attended only by our closest friends and family. We didn't try to recreate the past, but rather to build a new future, one based on honesty, trust, and unwavering love. Life wasn't perfect. There were still challenges, still moments of doubt and insecurity. But we were together, and that was all that mattered. We had learned from our mistakes, grown from our pain, and emerged stronger and more resilient than ever before. I never saw Richard again. He left Sterling Cooper Tech shortly after I did and disappeared from my life. I heard rumors that he had moved to another city, started a new business, and eventually retired. I never forgave him for what he had done, but I also didn't dwell on it. He was a footnote in my life, a reminder of the pain and betrayal I had overcome. Looking back on my life, I can see that the promotion, the affair, and the divorce were all part of a larger plan. They were painful lessons that taught me about love, loss, forgiveness, and resilience. They shaped me into the person I am today, a person who is grateful for the love I have, the life I have, and the future that lies ahead. I often think about the price of success. I paid a heavy price, losing my wife, my career, and my sense of self. But I also gained something invaluable, a deeper understanding of myself, a stronger appreciation for love and trust, and a renewed sense of hope for the future. The promotion might have been the beginning of my downfall, but it was also the catalyst for my ultimate redemption. The road was long and arduous, but I finally found my way back to happiness. The scars remain, a reminder of the pain, but they also serve as a testament to my strength, my resilience, and my unwavering belief in the power of love.